Or, well, the large miners are, selling off in bulk a bunch of their used equipment and then going ahead and, upgrading. So maybe that's what we're seeing as far as the hash rate goes right now. Potentially, but at the same time, it's like most of those are unprofitable in a lot of scenarios. Not as bad as you would think, right? So at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, I think you can make like the S19 Pro profitable, or at least break even. I mean, with firmware and all that, but the large companies typically aren't mass deploying firmware like that. They're just getting rid of the old hardware, bringing in new hardware, and then moving from there. So I think at this point, like I said, it's really just, I think, up in the air as far as how much of an effect miners actually have on the price of Bitcoin anymore, right? And here's more evidence for that, just anecdote, like obviously, I guess not anecdotal, but because it is statistically like in the report, right? Miners sold off a bunch of their Bitcoin in April and the price of Bitcoin went up in May. Pretty much back to back. You would expect the inverse of that to happen if miners were having more of an effect on the price, right? And then on top of that, they also said that a shift is taking place in how miners are securing new hardware. Several public firms have inked deals with Bitmain that allow them to pay for mining rigs in Bitcoin while retaining the right to repurchase their coins at a predetermined price. So that's a hedge against further price rallies. This is extremely dangerous. It's akin to the loans, hardware loans. This has happened before. Core Scientific went under from it. A few other miners went under from it. And what they were doing is it was a little bit different. They were put the inverse, it's not the inverse, but they put the hardware up for sale. Let me see if I can articulate this properly, or up for loan. They got a loan on the hardware. There we go. And this is back during the previous cycle, right? So they got loans on their hardware at the value of the hardware at the time. So this is a little bit better, but not way better, right? And then with those loans, they bought more hardware. Now, Strategy's been doing this with Bitcoin itself, where they buy up a bunch of Bitcoin, they take a loan out on the Bitcoin, they buy more Bitcoin. This is what rich people do to game the system and never contribute to society. But this ended up being a terrible practice for Bitcoin miners during the previous cycle. It made a lot of them go into bankruptcy. And this was due to the fact that the miners depreciated significantly in 2022 and 2023. Now, this is a little different, like I said, in the fact that what they're doing is they're essentially saying, we're going to buy the miners in Bitcoin for the value of the price of Bitcoin right now, but we have the right to buy the Bitcoin back at a predetermined price, whether that's like a 5%, 10% uptick or whatever. And then that gives them the ability to, if the price of Bitcoin goes up, buy that Bitcoin back, sell it at a profit, and then pay off the miners. This is still risky because it'll all depend on like how long they do that for, right? Like, let's say we go into another bear market at the end of 2026, 2027. These miners never did that. The price of Bitcoin goes below that of which they could buy their Bitcoin back for, and then bada bing, bada boom, more bankruptcies. Bitcoin and crypto get an even worse name out of the whole deal. And then the crazy thing is nobody's learning from the past. And it's such recent memory. It's crazy to me that nobody's learned from the past. Like I said, this is a little bit better. It's like a little bit better. But the fact is let's say, they spent, and what is the price of Bitcoin in May or whatever, let's say 90K. Let's say there's to make it easy, let's say there's a 10%. So they could buy it back at $100,000, right? They buy a bunch of miners with Bitcoin valued at 90K. The Bitcoin goes up and then they can buy it back at 100K. Well, at right now, obviously they'd be in profit. They could buy the Bitcoin back for 100K and then they'd be 6K to 9K in profit. The problem is they're going to hold that out a lot longer, right? And if they continue to hold it, because people always get into this mindset of it's just going to continue to go up only, up only, up only. And then the market comes falling out. The price of Bitcoin falls below 100K and now they're in debt. And the value of the miners depreciate on top of that and the Bitcoin, because Bitcoin and miner depreciation valuation is about the same. I think Bitcoin holds a little bit better right now that we're talking about less of an influence of the mining process on the price of Bitcoin, but you still end up in a position where you're underwater. And so like, obviously it's going to be a whole timing thing, but nobody can time the market. So what are we really doing here? Right. I think it's extremely difficult to play that game, and I think that it's extremely dangerous as well. On top of that, mining stocks were battered in the first quarter. They have bounced back by more than 60% in April alone, though most remain down year to date. Only CleanSpark and Marathon Digital are in positive territory for the year. So we'll have to see there. This is the other thing that's happening at CoinDesk too, by the way. They are starting to generate AI articles. So a disclaimer, if you're reading over there, parts of the article are generated with AI assistance and AI tools. So make sure you're validating facts and figures between, what they're stating, and then go pull up something like the hash rate index. Make sure the numbers look right and do your own research as far as that's concerned. This is probably going to be more dangerous for topics that are less, what do you call it? I suppose less popularized or less popular, right? So like, especially like the altcoin market, stuff like that, I would be extremely careful. Now, Bitcoin did overtake Amazon as the 5th largest asset, hitting 2.16 trillion market cap. And that was here with the recent pump up. Bitcoin became the world's 5th largest asset after hitting an all-time high on Wednesday, which pushed its market cap to 2.16 trillion. Though the crypto's price consolidated lower after hitting a high of $109,400, its market cap passed Amazon, which stands at 2.15 trillion. And here's the chart here. It's in 5th place, just under Apple. Well, quite a bit under Apple, to be fair. NVIDIA, Microsoft, and then gold. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. If you would like to see more from this particular episode, take a look up here. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support me directly, you can go to sonofatech.locals.com and become a member. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.